You are listening to Plantastic Events podcast, episode number 006. Hey everyone, welcome to Plantastic Events. I'm your host, Noshin Panjani. This is a weekly podcast dedicated to help you plan your events with ease. Be sure to subscribe at stoojat.com and stay up to date. That's stoojat.com. Plus, you'll receive tons of resources, freebies, guides, and show notes. Thank you for joining, and now let's get into the show. Hey everyone, I'm your host, Noshin Panjani, and today we have a special guest, Dave Huffman. He is the president of Peachtree Corners Festival, organizing committee. He has also a background in electrical engineering. But since his retirement, he spends most of his time volunteering with Peachtree Corners Festival. And he also assists a lot in the community with refugee relocation. I believe, Dave, your whole family has a background with Georgia Tech, right? So it's actually pretty impressive, like wife and son.
That's right. My wife and I are both graduates of Georgia Tech. That's where we met. We're both electrical engineers, and we have one son who's now in his third year at Georgia Tech as a nuclear engineering major. So one more year to go.
That is awesome. Do you usually root for Georgia Tech?
Oh, yes. Yes, we do, which is can be a difficult thing at times.
Oh, I bet.
But we go to the football games and the men's basketball and the women's basketball. Our son plays in the marching band there during football season and during the spirit band during basketball. So that kind of makes the game, even if Tech loses, it kind of makes it for a nice experience anyway.
Awesome. So today, all that's listening today, just to let you know, he's going to share some tips and tricks on all of the things that relate to festivals or events related to Peachtree Corners Festival, Peachtree Corners. Also, they're right around the corner. They're right here with us. Just wanted to let you know that. But I also want to let you know he has been an inspiration. He has worked not only in the community, but he has pretty much done his entire retirement focusing on giving back in the community, which I believe is a beautiful thing. So thank you so much for giving back to the community. My first question to you is, how are you doing today?
Oh, I'm fine. Like I mentioned a little earlier, we had our first festival meeting of the year this morning.
Awesome.
So the committee got together. It's only, one of them announced it's 133 days away.
Wow.
So that, to me, sounds like a short period of time.
Time's flying.
But we have an experienced committee, as we'll talk about later, and so I'm confident we'll have a good show.
Awesome. I'm definitely looking forward to it. Can I ask, what inspired you to start volunteering with Peachtree Corners?
Well, it's kind of funny. Like you mentioned, I retired a little over 7 years ago after a long career as an electrical engineer. And I knew I wanted to do volunteer things. I didn't want to just sit around the house.
Yeah.
So I started volunteering with our local school, the middle school, which I still do. So I'm in my 8th year of working in the media center there. But after a couple years, a good friend of mine who lives down the street, Debbie Mason, who had been one of the founders of the Peachtree Corners Festival, asked me if I would help her put out signs to advertise the festival, the yard signs. So I said, sure, I can put out yard signs. So I put out 20, 30 yard signs around and some big signs to advertise the festival. And that got me sort of an inside look at what goes into organizing a festival like this. And I got interested in it. And it just happened that the next year, the woman who had been the president of the festival committee had another grandchild, and she was going to have to be sort of a stay-at-home grandmother.
Yeah.
And so they asked me, would I be the president? And so I sort of went from the mailroom to the presidency there in 1 year.
Within 1 year? Wow,
that
nice.
1 year. But I asked at the time, I said, well, is the arts and crafts person coming back? Yes. Is the entertainment person coming back? Yes. Is the food person? Yes. So the whole committee was coming back. So I figured, well, I can chair the meetings. I can do that kind of thing. So this will be my 6th year with the festival, my 5th year as president.
Wow.
And that's a summer festival. And then last year, we took over the city parade that happens around the holidays in November.
Okay.
And so we've done that for 2 years. So now we have 2 events.
Nice. That's very impressive. And thank you for sharing your background as well. Is it important to have a committee in charge? I'm sure you already shared a little bit about this, in charge of the event. And if so, how do you break up the responsibilities? I'm sure you have like a super team, that gets involved. And I'm just labeling it a super team, but,
right.
I want your thoughts on that.
Yeah, you definitely have to break it up. And our core committee consists probably of maybe 8 or 9 people. It's not a whole lot of people, and a lot of people are surprised to see that this 3-day festival that runs about $100,000 to put on is largely the work of a pretty small group of people. But it splits up nicely as far as committee responsibilities go. So I have there's one person who specializes in all the entertainment, so everything that goes on stage. She books those acts and coordinates that. We have another person who handles arts and crafts vendors. A third person handles all the food vendors. We have a car show, a classic car show, and that's put on by a gentleman who that's his business, is putting on classic car shows.
Right.
So he's part of our team. We have another person on the committee who is responsible for our children's area, so all the amusement rides that we bring in for children. And that's one person. And then there's our sponsorship. I'll say the most important person, because without sponsorship,
sponsorship is where it is.
That's where our money comes from. It's a free festival.
Right.
We don't sell tickets to anything, so all of our funding comes from local sponsors, businesses and individuals who give us money. So we have now 2 people who help solicit those sponsorships. So that's the team. Most of those people, I'd say 6 or 7 out of the 8 or 9, have been with it since the beginning.
Wow.
So this is our 8th year, so they've been doing it since day one. And so they know what they're doing. I mentioned we met for the first time today, January. It's 5 months out. We used to meet in November, but it was obvious people knew what they were doing.
They know exactly what's happening.
I don't want to say it's on autopilot, because as I told them today, I don't ever want it to be stale for them. I want to try new things every year, just a little bit. We keep what works and work on improving it every year. And that kind of helps them kind of keep their interest in it. I think that's important from a committee standpoint. And
I think I've seen that in you, too, just knowing you for this short time, too. I've seen that in your personality, that you like to see things evolve over time. You don't want to just kind of be stuck with the same routine.
You can't just mail it in. I mean, and festival attendees don't want to come to the same event every year, year after year. They want to see new vendors. They want to see new music.
Yeah.
Yes, and a big example of that is our Friday night concert started.
Nice. Okay.
So when the festival started, it was a 2-day event, Saturday and Sunday, and that's when we had all our food vendors and craft vendors. And this will be our 4th year of offering a free concert to the community on the Friday evening before. So we sort of have, I call it a kickoff concert. And we started our first year. We didn't know if anybody would show up, and we had Banks and Shane, a local group, and a very good local group that's been here in Atlanta for over 40 years. And we had 1,200 people, which we were very pleased with.
Wow.
The next year we had a Eagles tribute band, and we had 2,000 attendees at the show.
Nice.
I was thinking we were getting maxed out. And then last year we had a Journey tribute band, and we had 4,000 folks there.
Whew.
And coming up in the near future, we'll announce who this year's. It's secret right now. It's in the works. But so that's something we added, and that has really sparked attendance in the festival too, because people come Friday night, and we tell them, hey, be sure and come back Saturday and Sunday.
And all of this is free for attendees, huh?
It's all free, yeah.
Nice.
You have to obviously pay for food and whatever you get at the vendors, but it's free parking and free admission. There's no admission.
With the team of 8 to 9 people, that's very impressive.
Now we do, during the festival, we'll get a bunch of volunteers. So we do, and I have someone on the committee who specializes in getting our volunteers. and she also is responsible for our Facebook and that type of thing. And we'll use probably about 100 volunteers during the festival to help us get water to vendors and kind of keep the show going.
I love the festival. We attended it, the last one, and it was incredible.
Good. Well, I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah.
We try to make it a good experience for everybody. We try to make it a really good experience for our vendors. Mm-hmm. So we will bend over backwards to keep vendors happy.
I love that. Yeah. It seemed very familial, like almost like a family-like environment too, where everyone seemed to, help you out, or if you're struggling, because I was like, where do I go? Where do I park? Where do we park? How do we move? They were helping you through every step of the way, even just your general public. They would help you, or guide you, or even talk to you. I like that. I appreciated that.
Well, we because we're a small group, we do try to keep it like a family. We have the gentleman Jerry Golden who runs our staging and logistics and sound and all that has been with us for a number of years. Jerry's just fantastic.
He's awesome. Yeah.
Of course, his part is a huge part of the festival, and but Jerry attends our meetings, and he's part of our group.
Yeah.
The same thing with our security people. We use the Gwinnett County Sheriff's Department for our security, and we meet with them in as early as April, and go through the plans with them. And most of the guys and ladies who come during the festival have been with it longer than I have.
Wow.
So they know the festival. They know what things are going on. And the Sheriff's Department's just been absolutely incredible to work with.
That's pretty cool.
It's you don't want it to be just a corporate business
No.
type thing.
The standard things. No, you don't want that at all. What about when you're setting up like event times or routes? How do you plan for that? I know you talked a little bit about working with the Sheriff's Department, but do you have to control for traffic or close off streets? How does that work?
Yeah, so obviously we have to get permission from Department of Transportation and from the city, whoever owns the street. We have to get permission well in advance to be able to shut it down. Probably the biggest thing there is communicating to people who use that road, wherever it might be. Communicate to them ahead of time so that they'll have some notice that this is going to be closed.
Right.
Our festival to this point has been held in an office park near here, and that's relatively easy to shut off for a weekend because it's in an office park. A lot of the businesses are closed on the Saturday and Sunday, so there's not a lot of through traffic. Our parade, starting last year, we had kind of in the middle of town here. So we were closing off a section of a pretty busy road on a Saturday morning.
Yeah.
So that did require some pretty close coordination with the Sheriff's Department, and we had electronic billboards out for a week ahead of time. We had signage along the route saying
I saw that.
It's closed from 10 o'clock till 1 o'clock, and of course, you still get people who don't pay attention to that.
They just pass it right by like it's not even
upset,
anything.
But, that's something you just have to deal with. So it's mainly make sure you get the word out as much as you can, and we put it out on Facebook. We put it out on Nextdoor, which is a local kind of a sort of a local blog type thing where people put Nextdoor.com. Sort of people. It's a good thing for finding lost dogs and furniture and stuff. But
I didn't know that.
For local announcements, and so we'll put it out on there as well. But yeah, next year we are looking at some new locations, and that's going to bring a whole new raft of logistical challenges in that regard.
Wow.
So, but that will keep us on our toes, so it won't be stale, I can guarantee you.
And you have like a super team that's just that knows their ins and outs. So I'm pretty sure, regardless of the location, they'll be able to figure it all out.
They are great to work with.
And I think when we attended the event, it seemed very well managed. How you were controlling the parade or the floats, and where the public would stand, and like kids were ready, for candies and all kinds of things. It was all prepared very nicely. There was a route and process. There were staff members to guide you throughout the way, which was also very helpful, for
a lot of that
everyone.
Was the other folks on the committee had experience with previous iterations of the parade, and Jerry Golden Productions worked parades all over the area. It was just my second parade, so I was learning some of the do's and don'ts of parade management. The thing about the parade is it's all for ours is all over in an hour and a half, so it's months of preparation, and then bang, it's all over in a very short time. So you don't have a lot of time to fix things if something's not working right. You just sort of have to go with it.
And, you know, it's also nice because I think when we had an opportunity to meet Jerry, too, he seemed like he would be a perfect fit, you know, for
Jerry and his wife, Nancy. Nancy directs
Nancy
directs our parade participants and does a great job.
And they're very friendly, you know, and to know that this is like the perfect type of environment. You could see it. Friendly people working with friendly people. It works out.
Well, you know, there's enough. You run across enough difficult people in life. You don't need to work with difficult people, especially in a volunteer type thing. Yeah,
you don't want to add more difficulties to it. So, how long have you worked with Golden Projections, if you don't mind me asking?
I think they started in They started the year before I started, so this is probably their 7th year.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
The first couple of years, as I understand it, that was before my time. But the festival organizers handled all that stuff, and it just about killed them from the sound of it.
Wow.
I mean, and I could not imagine me handling getting waste baskets and stage and speakers and audio visual and ramps and just everything that they do. So Golden Productions takes over a lot of that work, and we don't have to worry about that. As Jerry always tells me, he says, you know, we want to make the festival fun for you, and they do that.
Nice. It's definitely good to hear.
He'd like to do it all if I'd let him, but
You're like, no.
No, I've got to have something for us to do, too.
We have a committee. Yeah, exactly.
We're here.
How do you deal with like parking, especially when you have to deal with outside parking? I know you mentioned you actually provide for free parking, but when you're working with, let's say, the businesses that are in that area, do you have to work with them, or how does that happen?
Yeah, well, for the festival, in our current location, like I said, it's in an office park, and there is a large 600-slot parking lot right adjacent to where the festival is held. The building that's there is occupied by Comcast, and Comcast allows us to use their parking lot. We reserve a certain number of spots for them, for their employees that might be working on Saturday or Sunday.
Right. And
the rest is available. So that's a great thing about that location. The parade has presented a different problem because it's, as I said, kind of right more in the middle of town. We end at the Forum Shopping Center, which is a shopping center.
Forum, yeah.
Very busy on Saturdays during the parade, and so there we have to really be careful how we route the parade in there.
That's true.
We work with some of the local businesses along the route to get their permission to use their parking lot ahead of time, and we give them a little plug, you know, as an in-kind sponsor.
That's nice.
For letting us use their parking lot. And then we have a lot of dedicated signage to direct people to those parking places. That's one of the things, as I've told y'all, I hope with the Stooge app, with being able to go to the mobile phone with the directions on there, if we can direct people to our parking areas, that will save me a lot of phone calls that I get about how do you get to the parking.
Awesome. So for all you listeners, that would help you out too, hopefully.
Yes. Yeah, we're looking forward to integrating the Stooge app into our operations that are ongoing now.
And we're excited to work with such an awesome team. I think just having a wonderful community, or just like Peachtree Corners in general, is amazing. And to have the opportunity to work with someone like you means a lot to us. Mm-hmm. You know, we want to be able to, like you said, work with good people.
Well, as I told the group today, as we made the decision that to go with the Stooge app, the city of Peachtree Corners has made technology and innovation a high priority.
Right.
Where we're sitting now is an example of that here in this technology incubator. The new city hall that was just dedicated last week is a state-of-the-art technology place. There's displays everywhere. Things come out of the ceiling, things come out of the floor. It's incredible. I said the Peachtree Corners Festival, as one of the main events that the city of Peachtree Corners is involved with every year, should also be on the leading edge of technology when it comes to putting on the festival. So that was a big factor in us making the decision to step out and go with y'all.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. I mean, if it's a priority, it should be a priority for everything, right? Which is nice to see that. And just nice to see that it's being incorporated throughout, not only for the events, but also for like our business offices or anywhere else. That's definitely good to hear. Mm-hmm. Nice. What would you say are the key things that you would have to budget for? I know a lot of things come from your sponsors, but what are the key things that as a festival, you have to make sure to budget for?
Well, our biggest expenses, the logistical piece, the staging is a big piece because we are in an office park, so we have to bring in a stage. Golden Productions brings in a mobile stage. It gets set up. It's 20 feet by 24. It's a large stage.
Wow.
That gets set up. That takes a while to get a crew to get it set up and audio visual. So entertainment's kind of a significant factor. We have live music throughout the festival, so we could. Some festivals will go with recorded music, off and on, or they might have little dancers or something, do some things.
Yeah.
We have groups playing the whole time, Friday night, Saturday, and Sunday, and we do pay those groups, so that's a factor. The security, is a few $1,000s, and our kids area we spend maybe $8,000, $9,000 bringing in some rides. We have a zip line.
Wow, that's so cool.
It's pretty fun. Yeah, I did it the first year. It was pretty fun. It's the first time I'd ever been on a zip.
I get scared.
It was a little nerve-wracking, but when you're standing up there, but it was really fun once I did it. What made me get up there and do it is we did have the Chick-fil-A cows, which are dressed
Chick-fil-A,
as Chick-fil-A sends their cow team over to walk around the festival, and they kind of play with the kids. And year before last, when we had the zip line for the first time, they decided they want to go ride the zip. So when you see a person in a cow suit,
zip
two of them coming down the zip line themselves, figure if they can do it, I can do it.
That's hilarious.
They ride all our rides. So if you come to the festival on Sunday, you can see the cows riding carnival rides.
I think people will come
zip line.
For that too.
I think if you go to our website, you might be able to see a video of that.
Find this. I'll post it. If I find it, I will post it.
We definitely have video of the cows.
Nice.
And there's probably video of me coming down too.
I would like to see that too.
Not as impressive. But
I'm sure it's impressive.
So, like I said before, I think it's probably about a $80,000 to $90,000 weekend.
Right.
The Friday night thing, the concert there was probably about a $15,000 to $20,000 event. So, and we do that, like I said, for free. That's kind of one of our gifts to the community. I might mention, speaking of gifts to community, what we do with the proceeds of the festival. We kind of have three reasons for being, and that's first, obviously, to put on a good festival and an entertaining event for our community. And then with any funds that are left over, and usually we'll have some, not a lot, but we'll have some, we invest that in local educational schools.
Yeah.
So we make donations to the high schools, the middle schools, elementary schools in the area. And we save up our money over several years, and we'll make a donation for beautification of the area.
Wow.
So we've done some median landscaping out here on the main highway, Highway 141.
Yeah.
Just last week at the City Hall dedication that I mentioned, we were the ones who funded their flag plaza, which is out in front of that building. So that's our way of investing back in the community, besides just putting on a show.
Yeah. I love it.
So, about an $80,000 or $90,000 event every year. And like I say, that's all funded by corporate sponsors primarily. We have last year we had 94 different sponsors.
Wow.
Which for a relatively small community, Peachtree Corners is not small, but
it's pretty big,
That's a big number.
It's a big number. And you mentioned that you have live music for all of the days.
Right.
How do you usually bring in the folks that have the live music? Who do you usually, is it like local groups or is it like?
A lot of it is local. Well, the Friday night may or may not be a local group. Saturday and Sundays, several of them are local. They might come from neighboring states. We try to get a mix. So there's a lot of there's folk groups. There's classic rock, cover bands.
Nice.
There's we've had some hip hop groups that were an a cappella hip hop group. It was just incredible.
A cappella hip hop.
Yeah, they were.
I like that.
Group of guys. So we try to put a mix on, and like I say, we have a lady who, Bonnie Marshall, who's been doing the entertainment, I think, since the festival started.
Wow.
And she screens and she previews all the group. Nobody gets on that stage without Bonnie.
That's good.
Haven't seen her. That is good.
You make sure it's right. You make sure it's good.
Yeah. And so we do have a number of groups that want to, get the exposure, and they'll email us and or go online.
Nice. All right. I know you mentioned that in 33 days that there's an upcoming event.
That's what she said, yes. June 8th. June 8th, 9th, and 10th is this year's festival. We've always been the second weekend in June.
Okay.
So it's warm.
It's good
timing. That date was picked, and sometimes it's warm to the point of, being uncomfortable. And so we think, well, could we move it to some other point in the calendar? But the problem is if you move it earlier in May, you have graduations, you have Mother's Day, you have these type things. If you move into the fall, September, October, then we're going up against a lot of other festivals in the area.
Festivals and things.
So last year we had great weather. It was about 80 degrees, and we had about 12,000 folks there.
Wow.
Which was the most we've had, and so we just keep our fingers crossed. Fortunately, we have not had to deal with rain situations.
Knock on wood.
Knock on wood. So that obviously that would be a problem, but with an outdoor festival. But we're rain or shine.
Okay, that's actually pretty good to hear. But even rain or shine, the festival continues.
Tell the vendors that, yes, and like I say, fortunately we haven't had a problem. But
do you have anything else that you would like to share with our listeners, like any other upcoming events or just any other news that you want to share?
Well, I think as far as we go, for the folks in Peachtree Corners, if anybody's listening there, besides the festival and the parade, and the parade this year will be after Thanksgiving. We've had it the week before Thanksgiving, and we just decided this morning we're going to go with the first Saturday in December, so December 1st. We were having trouble getting school groups because here the schools get out the whole week of Thanksgiving, and so people were gone on both weekends. So we're going to move into December with our parade.
Okay.
Next year, I think once the town center gets online, we will probably sponsor some more concerts through the year.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
So that's something to look forward to. Right now, we're just trying to get a June 8th, 9th, and 10th under our belt.
June 8th, 9th, and 10th. Yeah. Nice. And if you want to see cows ziplining, make sure to be
there.
Be
there on the Sunday. The Chick-fil-A stores aren't open on Sunday, but their cows do work on Sunday. So.
Aww. Just kidding. But that would actually be entertaining. They're ziplining. They're
fun. Yeah, they'll dance with you, too. So if you come in front of the stage, you can dance with them as well.
And do you have any resources you can share with our members or our listeners out there? Anything
I guess we belong to the Southeast Festival Association, and we belong. Probably the thing I get the most benefit out of is festivals.net, which is a website for festivals in general. And we get a lot of our vendors, and I can tell that they've found us through festivals.net.
I didn't even know that existed. All right.
Yeah, I think it's only like maybe $100 a year or something to join that. So if you're a festival person, it's well worth the money, I think.
Okay, I'll definitely add that for all listeners, for all our listeners that are listening out there, on our resources page as well. Aside from that, I just wanted to say it has been an absolute pleasure working with you and also just having this opportunity to interview you. You are, I'm sure you're very, very, very busy, but I just wanted to let you know it has been an honor for me to even have that chance and to learn from how you handle this and what you do in your retirement too. I want to be able to do that. So there's definitely that.
Well, I tell people, if these people that say I don't want to retire because I'll be bored, they're just not trying hard enough.
I love that. I'm going to quote that.
Okay. Feel
I'm
free.
going to quote that.
Feel free.
Thank you so much for joining our podcast, and thank you all listeners too. Although the event industry includes a lot of stressful work and late meetings or late events, just remember that every event you help to bring to life creates memories of a lifetime for many people out there. Did you love this episode of Plantastic Events? We'd love for you to subscribe, rate, and leave a review on iTunes. Each week, we'll give a shout out to the Reviewer of the Week. Also, don't forget, we have resources available at stewjap.com. Thank you for listening, and I hope you'll join us next time. Goodbye. Produced by stewjap.com. Music by Justin Mahar.